All right, today on GrillSlingers, we're gonna show you how to do beef ribs in half the time, because we're going to, well, you'll see. Beef rib. In this household, beef ribs are like the top choice when it comes to, indulgence and kind of just, really spoiling ourselves on barbecue. The problem is beef ribs, depending on where you're at, are super expensive, and usually you're not going to get through the whole thing because it's super rich. I found recently at Wildfork, which is a store that's starting to come through here in Southern California, that they do sell beef ribs, and they maybe make it convenient that they sell them already cut in half. So what it's going to do is it's going to cut your cook time down, and you'll still get the same exact flavor. So I'm going to show you today how we prep them here at home. It's a little bit different than just the traditional beef rib, but the cook process could be very similar, and it's going to go quick. So I'm going to go get some gloves on, and we're going to get this open. Wildfork, not a sponsor. So what we have here today is, these are thick cut short ribs. It is a plate rib. And these are Black Angus choice grade. The funny thing about grading is that even with choice grade, which is, not prime, because you have prime, choice, select, and then whatever's below that, pretty much. The marbling on each of those cuts is kind of subjective. If you have a choice grade beef rib, let me see if I can get this up to the camera for you. You will see, is this on? There's a ton of fat, ton of marbling on this actual beef rib. So what it means is you don't have to splurge the extra money on getting a prime cut. You can just go with choice, as long as you make sure that your marbling is where you want it to be. All right, so like I mentioned, there is a ton of fat on these. We're actually gonna trim back some of the ones on the top. On the back, there's a membrane just like you'll find on pork ribs, but we're actually gonna leave this on here on a beef rib. The reason being is if we take them off, they basically just start to fall apart, and we want some structural integrity on there. You're not gonna be eating these by hand like a pork rib, so we're gonna go ahead and get the prep. Let's go here. You're gonna trim off just this top fat cap, usually pretty thin. Okay, so if you were gonna go traditional, like Texas style on this, you would just season this with salt and pepper and whatever else your pitmaster's not telling you he's putting on there. We do a little different. We like to put a binder on here. You can use mustard, mayo, but I decided to get a little tricksy with it last time, and I used Frank's Red Hot, which is definitely not a traditional way to do it, but it's nice because you get a lot of that tangy, vinegary flavor, as well as a little bit of heat. Most of the heat cooks off as it's going through the smoke. But it makes a great binder for your rub that's gonna go on there. So we're gonna put a little bit of this guy on there. Yeehaw. There we go. And get it all over. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get some rub on there. Ugh. And again, you can use the rub of your choice. It can be whatever you want. I'm gonna use Kinder's. This is their crushed jalapeno, like red garlic rub. It does work really well. We wanna bring just a ton of flavor into this, because beef ribs are such a rich cut that if you don't really season them strong, all you're gonna really taste is kind of just that rich beef, and you get really nothing else. If you want your rub to stand out, you gotta use a binder, and you've gotta use a ton of it. And it really helps balance everything out. All right, so now that these have the binder on and we got the rub, because we're using the binder, we really don't need to let it set for super long. So these are just gonna go straight on the smoker. I've got it set to 250. We're gonna be checking temp as we go. What we're looking for is a finish temp of around 202. Really just wanna make sure it's probe tender. We'll go ahead, get these bad boys on. All right, so these are all done. Normally we would wrap these in foil and let them rest for about 30 minutes, but I'm gonna be real. I'm a little hungry. So I'm gonna go ahead and get a little scrab of that off the top. First off, whoop. Come on. That membrane on the back is still gonna be a little tough, and that's totally okay. But see here, got great rendering. Let's get a little bite right off the top. Cheers. Oh, it's hot. Oh. Tons of flavor from the bark and seasoning. You still get the Frank's Red Hot in there as the binder. Gives a little bit of tang. These are bomb. You can eat them straight up. You can shred them for tacos. Do whatever you want with them. Try this cookout. Recipes in the description below. Again, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and get yourself some beef ribs. They're delicious. That was awful, and I'm never doing that again. Cheers.